Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball. This is episode number 13. We're in the off-season. We're going to quickly make our way through this off-season, try to get into Season 3 here a little more rapidly. We are already sped up Season 2 a lot compared to Season 1. Let's see if we can keep that up with Season 3. Well, anyway, we start with salary arbitration. The hearings are complete, and here's what has happened. We offered $15 million for Luis Cuevas, who is our top fielder. We picked Cuevas up partially because the other team knew that he was going to be entering salary arbitration. He was making $6 million last year. Is a three and a half kind of guy. He's solid 27-year-old right fielder. But now at $17.5 million, he's probably going to be making a bit too much, and we might have to flip him for something else. Realistically, though, I would want to add pieces to turn it into a better player as opposed to prospects. Talton has also won his case, making $2.5 million, but that's very affordable. But as a reliever, I think he's very much tradable. Carnell, right fielder, we were able to get what the team went on this. And Joaquin Rosa, wow, seriously? Okay, so Rosa was making $1 million. He spent the entire year in AAA. He did not play with the senior team a single day. We offered him $800,000, which is 80% of what he had been making. That's the minimum you can offer in comparison. And he somehow gets a pay raise despite not playing at all. I suppose if we had offered $1 million, maybe we would have won. Apparently they don't like offering somebody less. But yeah, we only won 1 out of 4 cases this year, so not good on that front. Last year was much better for us. And so free agency has now begun. We have a handful of international free agents and then, of course, the regular free agents. So to decide what I want to do about free agency, I decided that I was going to filter our list to potential, to everybody 2 stars and better, which means we're excluding all those players that just aren't good enough even for our level. That leaves us with 235. That's a fairly manageable list. Now, the top end, though, these guys are asking way too much money. We can't afford them at our level. Of course, there are the options to sign and trade. So that is one good method about dealing with those. Chris Bassett would be somebody, but he's 34, and so there's another thing to add to our filter. And just like that, dropping the age down to 25, we suddenly have a very manageable list of players to get after. Now, the one key target that I'm interested in splashing some cash on, but probably not actually hanging on to, is Willie LeBoy. If we can get him signed, I think there's a lot of value in trade for this guy that would be worth our while. He's okay. He's durable. Maybe if our budget's high enough, he's somebody worth hanging on to. Scouting accuracy is low, but when you add the OSAA, he still looks really good in terms of that potential and even the overall. For the whole bottom half of the list where they have no major league contract demands, for each of them, I've gone ahead and offered a minor league contract. I've also excluded all of those that are fragile or worse. You can see scouting accuracy for all but 3 of them is very high, so we know a lot about these guys. And even on these other 2, even if they're not as good as we hope they are, it's not like it's going to make a difference. We're talking about a half-star, 2.5 star, or 2-star guy. If he turns out to be a half-star, 1.5 star guy, oh no, we added a minor leaguer who has got some potential and is a reliever, is just 23. Right, there's far worse additions we could make, and it's only a minor league contract, which of course we love to trade up on those. So it would still have value to trade up on. Now we've offered LeBoy exactly what he wants. Signability is hard, so I don't think we stand much of a chance anyway, but we'll give it a shot. But here's the more realistic targets for us. And we'll see of these what we want to get after, what we should get after. I mean, most of these are relievers, 2 fielders. So I think there's your start point, is we want to try to sign these 2 guys, especially a 2.5 star one when fielders have been harder to come by. So Yerzy could actually be an upgrade at first base potentially. So from this top end, the only one that I've offered a contract to is actually Yerzy. Yerzy, we went a couple above that with 3.6 million. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to sign him, but hopefully it is. Miguel Hernandez has no interest in signing with us, and the rest of these guys are all relievers, none of which are actually good enough. Therefore, I'm not offering them contracts because they want regular contracts, and we don't have room for that on our roster. So I pushed the age up a couple years and pushed the potential from 2 to 2.5 stars. So trying to get the guys that are 26, 27 into the mix and see what there is. Koji Koga is an option here. He is a 27-year-old Japanese starting pitcher. Now, we are low on the scouting accuracy. We see 2, 2.5. OSA sees 2.5, 2.5, and we're average on that one. So we offered him a minor league contract with a major league option of 1.05 million. So I think that's a pretty good deal if we were to add him, especially on the minor league option, or minor league initial contract anyway. The other ones that were added into our list are pros at the top of their game, looking for 20 to 35 million, just too much money that they are asking. We can't offer anybody that kind of money, so we're gonna have to pass on all of those. So far we've signed just 1 player to a minor league contract. Again, we really only offered money to 2 players anyway, and then partial money to a third. The rest were all minor league offers. I mean, this free agency group is really not that deep, but LeBoy is in play at this point. We are his favorite a week after giving him the offer. I thought we had a bunch of major league coaching staff that had expiring contracts, and some of them are good, but many of them are not. They don't. They still have 1 year left. I only have 2 vacancies at the moment, but we're about to create at least a third one. Our first base coach is awful in-game running. That would be his main job. Teach running would probably be his secondary job, but yeah, he's fair at best. Now, this is not the easiest one to fire, but as we have not hit the new year, we're still on last year's budget. We have plenty of money, so I'm going to go ahead and fire this person. So I had 4 total open positions within our personnel. So I brought in John Farrell as a new manager. You can see just how strong he is. In particular, he is outstanding at development. So for our rookie manager, he should see players progress fairly quickly. We brought in a couple of hitting coaches to replace a couple of expiring contracts. I think they were kind of the last ones, or some of the last ones from last season. And after firing somebody, our new first base coach, you can see in-game running is outstanding for Karlik, and his teach running is decent. So while this is not an amazing guy, there's a reason why he's a base coach and doesn't do a whole lot else. Here's what we've added through free agency so far. Murakami, half-star, two-star potential. He's labeled as a closer. We got him to a minor league deal. Of course, we fired McLean. And then we added a center fielder, half-star current, 1.5-star potential. We did see him being a 2-star potential kind of guy, but either way. That was a 2-star guy. We just added him to the roster. So center fielder, Falou, starting pitcher. Looks like what we saw in him is not what we see in him anymore, as we know a little bit more. But maybe that's just international free agent. Could be what that is. But we added that Karlik, who we already talked about. And then so far in December, we've now added Maldonado, starting pitcher. And there's another international free agent that we've added. So it's actually been international free agents that are joining what we have here, which is, not a lot of potential in this group. So we are filling this one out a bit more. Yes, there is Falou. So yes, that's where those guys are going. Those ones are being done automatically. So far, Scout really has not done a very good job of bringing any talent into our international complex. Okay, we have big development here. Willie LaBoy has signed with us. So we do need to learn more about this guy to see just how good he actually is. We're talking about $21 million, so this is either he or Cuevas or both will be recycled for other talent because of the finances involved for these two. Certainly at least one of them will be traded. But we're talking about players that are a step above what we have and do have trade value to others. Somebody is going to want them, and they're either going to give us solid prospects in return, or they're going to give us some young current talent. LaBoy would be somebody I'd like to hang on to, as he's just 22 years of age, but we'll see. Let's get that scouting accuracy up on him just to see how good he actually is. The OSA rating, also has the potential there, but the overall is slated a little bit lower for them compared to what we see. The build is finally, I think, making some ground, and the pieces getting to better pieces. So Garrett Hampson is somebody we did nothing to get back, and we got him as a 2-star second baseman, but he's 29 years of age. Now, he started for us last year, but Hampson hit 250. On base was 290. Slugging was 370. He did fine. But fine's not enough. We need better than fine if we're going to get out of last place in scoring. So Hampson, not good enough. We, if you remember, just signed a big-time second baseman. So Hampson is already expendable as a piece. Cornegay played a bit at the pro level, but it was last year where he hit 250. This past season anyway, he spent in AAA, and it wasn't so good. I mean, he only hit 226. His contact is really low. He's also 28 years of age already, making league minimum. Neither of these guys were making a ton of money, but they're two-star, already at their peak. Guys that could just about make it. What we're going to get in return is Justin Janus, who is AAA, 2-star current, but 3-star potential. His contact is already high. At AA, he was hitting 458. It's only 24 at bats. Single A, hitting 370 though. So hitting the ball really, really well, and on a minor league contract, and has 3-star potential, and is not prone to injuries. Continuing to move pieces, Steve Bevan, who was one of the many shortstops that I was able to pick up off the waiver wire for next to nothing, but they were costing us roster spots. And then Nick Longy. I picked up 2 first basemen off the waiver wire or through trades, I'm not sure which, during the season. I think it might have been waiver wire. And both of them were actually pretty decent, but at 2-star in both cases, that they're never going to quite be good enough. Plus that 40-man roster is a little bit bloated. The senior level roster is a little bit bloated. So we need to start clearing some space and bringing in some guys that could make an impact down the road. So Chris Wall, 26-year-old starting pitcher, already at 2 stars, so equivalent of those two, but also has additional potential and is still on a minor league contract. Former club servant Juan Valadares. He was seen as a 2.5-star potential, but that has dropped to 2 stars after he has really struggled at that major league level. Jordan Juarez, who was one of those waiver wire shortstop pickups that we had, is also a 2-star kind of guy. So 2 2-star guys traded for CJ Eldred, who is a 2.5-star. making 700K starting pitcher for us, and we'll take that trade, as that is a little bit of an upgrade at least. And with the preseason set to begin shortly, we have taken that 40-man roster and cut it down to 32. So we have already freed up 8 spots. Previously, we had 1-star, 1.5-star kind of talent. Now, we're to the point where 28 of the 32 are 2.5 stars or better. So that is a big step forward for us. Gennett, Squire, both pretty good talent. Squire was seen as much better potential until he had a injury that left him out for most of last season. Elisha Thompson was our DH for most of the year last year. But at 28 years of age, he, Gennett, Williams, Squire, I think all 4 of those are going to be traded here quite soon. And that'll then kind of rebuild that roster into all 2.5 star or better, where last year so much of the, not necessarily the rotation, but the fielders, the batters, were all mostly 2-star guys. And so we will have successfully rebuilt that. But there's still going to be a couple holes in that lineup to fill. We're going to have plenty of starting pitchers looking to make their mark. We are going to see a different roster this year, but not to the wholesale level of changes that we had a year ago. But already within that change spectrum, Yerzy is somebody that we just signed on and added in. And you can see that Yerzy is a 2.5 kind of guy. So he is most certainly going to be picking his way up. And you can see, even down at the rookie level, that there are some additions that we just picked up that are pretty good. There's Janus, there's Koga, there's Chris Wall that we just added in. So those pieces are all looking fairly good for us. Short A has no talent in it. We've gutted that. We've traded those guys off for other pieces. And our regular A roster is also looking, it's so-so. It's pretty mediocre. But there's plenty of talent in that AA that can still be traded off, and our AAA roster is looking really good. But we have definitely started moving some pieces this season. But you can see there's a handful of guys here that are ready to make some marks, and I've already started to take a few of those relievers and trade them for other pieces, because we know that we can get an all-new relieving staff as the season goes on through the waiver wire to no cost for us. So if we can flip those for outfield players that are better, that would be ideal. But some of these guys don't necessarily have a ton of value, like Joaquin Rosa. Even though he's not making a ton of money, there isn't a lot of teams that really want him. So you have to be kind of careful on how you go about moving those. But you can see like Lancelotti, who we just picked up in the draft as a college grad. He came in straight to AAA for us and did fairly well, and he still has some potential to improve. So there's a pretty good chance that he will be promoted over somebody like Paxton Squire, who we could then, trade up on. Medej is somebody who's getting fairly close to ready. It certainly has the potential to be quite good. All right, but we are into that preseason stage. We're going to have that preseason roster, expanded upon. We'll have some extra invites there, but there is plenty of potential to take this roster. And now that we are starting to flip those fringe pieces for better elements, it's going to be easy to replace those fringe pieces. For one thing, we have a AAA roster that's already bloated with fringe pieces that are still on minor league deals. So that progress piece, right, getting the better type of deal is really starting to happen, and it's freeing us up to acquire guys pretty easily. I'm really happy with that continued progress, that continued rise, and what we've been able to acquire. Now, of course, that one thing is that we've now got 2 guys on pretty big contracts. So Cuevas, maybe we need to get him to go because he's a 3.5. And so he's not going to get better. He is as good as he is, and he's costing us a lot. Meanwhile, LeBoy is a 3.5. And LeBoy is making only slightly more than Cuevas, is 5 years younger, and has a ton of potential. And you can see hitting-wise, Cuevas and LeBoy, well, it's even on that trade-off, right? They're both at the same point right now. I think the difference is LeBoy defense is a 50, Cuevas just slightly better. Yeah. So there's the only real difference. And Cuevas actually didn't do real well for us anyway since coming over. So I think we're going to move on from Cuevas and not LeBoy. We're going to hang on to LeBoy, even though he is making a fair bit of money. But that's a big time corner piece for this team that we can build around. It's just, can we afford to hang on to him for now? I think we can manage to do that. We just can't afford him and Cuevas. But Cuevas should get us a pretty healthy return, you would think, especially if we package him with something else that's got quality, like maybe a Kella, who is a really good reliever, and there's going to be some teams really happy to have him. But at 30 years of age, how long can we hang on to him, right? We're still building for the future. So I would take Cuevas and Kella and package them and see what we get. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.